Interesting video, but your visuals are distracting. I'm not sure if you're going for the 1960 hippies look or the Melmac mind control. Either way, interesting but distracting. You seem to think this is a giant conspiracy. Like I always say, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean someone isn't actually out to get you. As you can see, I make a terrible therapist. Let's go another direction. We all know that if you burn anything, you're burning hydrogen. So we need to get to a point where we can produce hydrogen for sale within the United States and for sale without. Now, how do we do this? For short term, we're going to need to drill some wells just to get us out of this crunch. I hate to say it, but it needs to be done. 2, we need to get some wind generators out there to take advantage of the wind situation we have. Like I've always said, no wind, no power. But they do work. Solar voltaic. This could be a big help. But the government needs to help us just as much as we need to help the government. So what I propose is that people are allowed to put photovoltaic cells up on their roofs, and that the electrical companies across the United States be required to buy this electricity. That doesn't mean that they have to build the systems, nor does that mean they have to build the proper output. That would be the responsibility of the homeowners and the electricians that they hire to do this work. This is not insurmountable. We're talking about automatic transfer switches, which are in use today. If the power outside the home goes out, your electrical lines, then you shut down so you aren't feeding the electrical lines and causing problems for the poor repairmen trying to do the work. Not only that, but you're not shorting your system out to some grounded wire someplace. 2, once you have a compatible system, the electric companies should be required to buy this power back at the same rate that they produce power. Not the same rate they sell it to us, but the same rate they produce it at. There are going to be a lot of electric companies that say, oh no, that's too expensive. Well, you know what? If it's too expensive, you wouldn't be supplying us with power, so deal with it. 3, since we are helping the economy in the United States, which means we're basically loaning the government money to get this on top of our house to improve the economy, let's see a tax incentive. Take 20% of what it costs to build this project on top of someone's home, this system, off the gross income for a period of 6 years. This allows us to go out and get the loan, build the project, and pay back the loan. So many people say, oh no, we'll never be able to afford this. Of course we can. People will get rich. Of course people are going to get rich. But the government's going to have to look at these companies and say, okay, listen, you're charging too much. You aren't allowed to sell. That's all there is to it. You can't just put a cap on saying if it's over $12,000 you can't do it, because certain people are going to have larger electrical needs than others. So you can't base it on that. What you're going to have to base it on is the output of the project and the cost of the project. If these guys are trying to rip people off, then you know what? They can't do business. Get a geothermal plant set up in Yellowstone National Park. A big one. Not some megawatt. We'd have to be talking in the trillions of watts. Hook this up to the grid and set up hydrogen producing facilities on the coast of the United States, including the Great Lakes, if it's feasible. This can be done. We have the technology, and we have the workers who have the expertise to pull this thing off. What we don't have is the politicians with the guts and the willpower to put this in place. For you people who say this is a national park, you can't do that. If you'll look at the way this park was set up, it was there to save these resources for future generations. Well, guess what? We are future generations, and we have the technology to pull this off. No, we're not going to drill in so deep that it makes the volcano explode. That just isn't physically possible for us at this point in time. Our drill bits would melt long before that. So that's not really a concern, guys. What is a concern is the emissions that the drilling would make. We'd have to deal with it. We either have to make an exception or find some way of lowering the emissions from drilling. That's my idea on this. That's my take on this. I welcome any and all comments on this. Any of you who are steeped in geothermal, geology, can look at this and say, yes, it's feasible. For you people who say, hey, this thing's going to be ugly. It doesn't have to be. When you build the building, you make it so that you can cover it. Plant trees, put a cooling pond on the top that looks like a natural pond. You don't really have to look at this. Lines can be laid underground so that inclement weather is not a problem. Ask any electrician. They'll tell you. Putting the wiring underground is not insurmountable. It can be done, and it can be done safely, and can be done securely. Again, thank you very much. I hope that I can get some intelligent commentary out of this. Thank you.